اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. روي عن فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها أنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم في بعض الأيام لي يا فاطمة إني لا أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت أعوذ بك بالله يا أبت من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتني بالكساء اليماني وغطيني به. قالت فاطمة سلام الله عليها فأتيته بالكساء وغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ نورا كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قالت فاطمة سلام الله عليها فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل. قال السلام عليك يا أمّا. وقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي. وقال لي يا أمّاه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك نائم تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت هذا الكساء؟ وقال له نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل الحسن عليه السلام معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قالت فاطمة سلام الله عليها فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل. قال السلام عليك يا أمّا. فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أمّاه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك نائمان تحت هذا الكساء. فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت هذا الكساء؟ فقال له نعم قد أذنت لك يا حسين. فدخل معهما الحسين تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قالت فاطمة عليه السلام فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بأبي الحسن علي عليه السلام قد أقبل. فقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. وقلت عليك السلام يا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو أما ولديك نائم تحت هذا الكساء. وأقبل علي عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكم تحت هذا الكساء؟ قال نعم قد أذنت لك. ودخل علي معهم تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قالت فاطمة سلام الله عليها ثم أقبلت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتا. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكم تحت هذا الكساء؟ قال نعم قد أذنت لك. ودخلت معهم تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد. قالت فاطمة فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء قال الله اعلموا يا ملائكتي وسكان سماواتي وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدية ولا خمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وقال جبريل عليه السلام يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ قال الله تعالى هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة وهم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبريل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله تعالى نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبريل وأقبل نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. إن الله عز وجل يخرج السلام يخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدية ولا خمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم. وقد أذن لي أدخل معكم تحت هذا الكساء. وهل تعذر لي أنت يا رسول الله أن أدخل معكم؟ فقال قد أذنت لك. ودخل جبريل معهم تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وقال لهم إن الله عز وجل قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال علي عليه السلام يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله تعالى. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل أهل الأرض وفي جمشيتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم ملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعيدنا وكذلك عشيتنا فازوا وسعيدوا ورب الكعبة. وقال رسول الله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل أهل الأرض وفيه جمشيتنا وفيه مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه إلهي ولا مغبون إلا وكشف الله غمه إلهي ولا طالب حاجة إلا وخذ الله حاجة إلهي وقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك عشيتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك بحق محمد وأنت المحمود، وبحق علي وأنت الأعلى، وبحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض، وبحق الحسن وأنت المحسن، وبحق الحسين أنت ختم الإحسان، وبحق الأئمة التسعة الطاهرين من ذرية الحسين عليهم السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على.
ایک اور درود محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ذکر غم حسین سے محفل سجی رہی، گل ہو گیا چراغ مگر
روشنی،
گل ہو گیا چراغ مگر
روشنی رہی.
اکبر کے بعد زیست میں کیا دلکشی رہی، لیلا تمام
عمر یہی سوچتی،
لیلا تمام
عمر یہی سوچتی رہی.
عباس لینے آئے جو میدان کی رضا،
زینب اپنے بازوؤں کو دیکھتی، زینب اپنے بازوؤں کو دیکھتی رہی.
اس انتظار میں کہ کب آتے ہیں بو تراب بالی پہ موت، آ کے ادب سے کھڑی بالی پہ موت، آ کے ادب سے
کھڑی رہی.
اشک غم حسین کا ٹوٹا نسل سلا رومال
فاطمہ میں ہمیشہ
رومال
فاطمہ میں ہمیشہ رہی.
خیمے فرات سے تو ہٹائے گئے مگر عباس نام دار کی تیوڑی چڑھی، عباس نام
دار کی تیوڑی چڑھی رہی.
آدم سے سعید رسالت ماں تک ہر دور میں ضرورت ناد علی، ہر دور میں ضرورت ناد علی رہی، ذکر غم حسین سے۔
اللہم صل علی محمد وآل محمد۔ پر محمد وآل محمد بلندتر صلوات۔ اللہم صل علی محمد وآل محمد۔ برائے خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلندتر صلوات۔
اللہم صل
صلی
علی
علی
محمد
محمد وآل محمد۔
رن میں جب شے کی طرف سے ہرے دیدار آیا، کس بشاشت سے اڑاتا ہوا رہوار آیا، گل ہوا سید مظلوم کا غم خار آیا، جان سارے خلف حیدر
کرار آیا،
جان سارے خلف
حیدر کرار آیا،
تتق نور سرے راہ نظر آتا ہے، جلوہ قدرت
جلوہ قدرت توحید
نظر آتا ہے،
جلوہ قدرت توحید نظر آتا ہے۔
یہ سخن سن کے پکارا پسرے سعد شریر، ہر طرف دار شہدی پہ چلی نیزہ و تیر، لے کے حربوں کو بڑا فوج کے انباء کثیر،
فاتحہ پڑھ کے جوان مرد نے کھینچی شمشیر،
فاتحہ پڑھ کے جوان مرد نے کھینچی
شمشیر،
پڑھ کے ان کا منہ سرخ ہوا، فوج ستم زرد ہوئی، شعلہ تیغ سے بجلی کی چمک،
گرد ہوئی،
شعلہ تیغ سے بجلی کی
چمک گرد ہوئی،
بڑھ کے فرماتے تھے عباس زہے عزت و جاہ، بارک اللہ کی صدا دیتا تھا دل بر شاہ، کہتے تھے ابن حسن وا غازی وا، شاہر ضرب پہ فرماتے تھے ماشاء، شاہر ضرب پہ فرماتے تھے ماشاء اللہ، اپنی جابازی کا غازی جو صلہ پاتا تھا، مسکراتا
ہوا تسلیم کو جھک جاتا تھا،
مسکراتا ہوا تسلیم
کو جھک جاتا تھا،
حیف جھکنے میں لعینوں نے جو فرصت پائی، سامنا چھوڑ کے سب فوج اخب سے آئی، لاکھوں ریز ادھر اور ادھر تنہائی، باغ گھوڑے کی پھراتا تھا کہ برچھی
کھائی،
باغ گھوڑے کی پھراتا
آتا تھا کہ برچھی کھائی،
آ گیا موت کے پنجے میں نہ کچھ دیر لگی، فرض پر گرز لگا دوش
پہ شمشیر لگی،
فرض پر گرز لگا دوش
پہ شمشیر لگی،
شاہ رونے لگے یہ سن ہی میں ماں کی خبر ہو گئی آنسوؤں سے ریش مبارک سبتر علی اکبر سے کہا تم ابھی ٹھہرو دلبر
ان کی امداد کو ہم جائیں گے نور نظر،
ان کی
امداد کو ہم جائیں گے نور نظر،
کس اس وقت کہوں میں جو خلق مجھ پر ہے لاش
اٹھاؤں گا کہ مہمان کا حق مجھ پر ہے،
لاش
اٹھاؤں گا کہ مہمان کا حق مجھ پر ہے،
گر کے لاشے کے برابر یہ پکارے سرور میرے مہمانوں مددگاروں معینوں یاور گرز کیا تجھ کو لگا ٹوٹ گئی میری کمر گر پڑے گھوڑے سے اور
آنا کی ہم کو خبر،
گر پڑے گھوڑے سے اور آنا کی ہم کو خبر دوست کے ہجر میں کب دوست کو چین آیا ہے کھول دے چشم
کو بھائی کے حسین آیا ہے،
کھول دے چشم کو
بھائی کے حسین آیا ہے،
نیم وا چشم سے حر نے رخ مولا دیکھا زیر سر زانوئے شبیر کا تکیہ دیکھا مسکرا کر طرف عالم بالا دیکھا شہ نے فرمایا کہ اے حر
جری کیا دیکھا،
شہ نے فرمایا کہ
کہ حر جری کیا دیکھا،
عرض کی حسن رخ حور نظر آتا ہے فرش سے عرش تلک
نور نظر آتا ہے،
فرش سے
سے عرش تلک نور نظر آتا ہے،
مجھ کو لینے چلے آتے ہیں فرشتے یا شاہ ملک الموت بھی کرتا ہے محبت کی نگاہ خلد سے شیر خدا نکلے ہے اللہ اللہ لو برآمد ہوئے شبر بھی پدر کے ہمراہ لو برآمد ہوئے شبر بھی پدر کے ہمراہ کہہ کے یہ ننگے سر احمد مختار کی پیاری آئی دیکھیے آپ کے نانا کی سواری آئی دیکھیے آپ کے نانا
کی سواری آئی،
کہہ کے یہ گود میں شبیر کے لی انگڑائی آیا ماتھے پر ارخ چہرے پہ زردی چھائی شہ نے فرمایا ہمیں چھوڑ चले क्यों भाई चल बसे हुर्र जरी फिर न कुछ आवाज आई चल बसे हुर्र जरी फिर न कुछ आवाज आई तायरे रूह ने परवाज की तूबा की तरह दुनिया रह गई फिर कर शहवाला की तरह दुनिया रह गई फिर कर शहवाला की तरह दुनिया रह गई फिर कर शहवाला की तरह मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
एक और दुरूद मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
I think with this few minutes remaining for the lecture to start, I think Zainabia community as a whole would like to thank Sayyid for conducting these lectures, and inshallah we'll continue to get some lessons from these lectures, and hopefully I think thanks to you, and hopefully inshallah we will get the jaza for attending all these lectures, and you also, I think, may Allah and the Ahlul Bayt give you the jaza for reciting these from Iran. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat.
Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. The Sheikh, the Sayyid should be joining us in a few minutes. Till then, we can recite a loud salawat, and inshallah, we'll just wait for the Sayyid to join us. Please recite loud salawat for Sayyid. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.
Recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد وأجل فرجهم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، أن الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. We're talking about the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and that we mentioned that one of the great gifts from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam was that he gave us this great ziyarat, and he allowed us to remember and learn through the lessons of Imam Hussein alayhi salam for Ashura. So we want to get close to Allah through the ziyarat. We want to get close to Imam Hussein alayhi salam through the ziyarat. And we said that each night we're going to do a dua of this ziyarat. There are about 10 du'as, and it depends on the way that you calculate them. There are about 10 du'as in Ziyarat Ashura. And du'as are mukhul ibad, they are the best part of ibadah. So they are the center of ibadah. So it's important for us to go and learn through Ziyarat Ashura and to understand what these lines and passages are saying, and to be able to reflect on our own lives and to become closer to the Holy Prophet of Islam and his noble family. So tonight we're going to read about this verse, or this passage, we can say, Allahumma ja'alni jihan bil Hussein alayhi salam fi dunya wal akhirah. Allah, make me illustrious in your sight in the name of Al-Hussein, peace be upon him, in this world and the hereafter. So this part of the ziyarat, there's a terminology that needs to be explained. What is that word? Wajih. Because Allahumma is, oh Allah, you're calling Allah. No, Allahumma ja'alni means make me. But wajih mean, and tonight we're going to be talking about this topic. How do we be illustrious? How do we become honored in the eyes of Allah? Through Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So wajih comes from wajh. You've heard wajh means face. And wajh has been used multiple times throughout, even some of our du'as we call Imam Zaman, for example, wajhullah. Aina wajhullah alladhi yatawajjahu ilayhi al-awwal. So where is the, can maybe translate as the face of Allah or the path of Allah, that the saints or those that are close to Allah, they seek proximity of Allah through him. So we heard wajh, which is face, but also here we have wajih. So wajih means just how in English sometimes we have, someone saves face, means to save their reputation. They have a high reputation and they want to save face. So wajih means to have face, to have honor, to be distinguished. We see this word used in the Holy Quran. And one of the best ways to understand the vocabulary of these terms is to refer to the Quran, because a lot of our du'as or hadith are actually explanations of those verses of the Quran. And actually this part of this ziyarat, Allahumma ja'alni indaka wajihan bin Hussein alayhi salam fi dunya wal akhirah, is actually very similar to one of the verses of the Holy Quran. So my question is, wajih, who is dignified, who is illustrious, who is distinguished in the Quran? When it Prophet Musa alayhi salam, as you read in the Holy Quran 33:69, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la takunu kalla adha Musa fabarra'ahu Allah mimma qalu wa kana inda Allah wajihan. O you who have believed, be not like those who abused Musa. So we learn from this story that the Bani Israel, they used to abuse Prophet Musa. Some of the prophets they killed, and the prophet actually really liked, they abused him. Then Allah cleared him of what they said. They did tuhmat, made up rumors, stories about Prophet Musa alayhi salam, things that he did. And Allah cleared that up for him. And he, in the sight of Allah, was distinguished. So, wakana indallah wajihan. So we want indaka wajiha. We want to become wajih like Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So we understand that the prophets of God, they are wajih. So when you're actually doing dua, the wajih that is doing a very high dua, it means like, well, Prophet Musa is wajih. He is distinguished. We want to be like Prophet Musa. And that is why we're taught to do du'as that are very high. We do du'as that are maximum du'as, not minimal du'as, not half du'as, full du'as, maximum du'as. Inshallah, Allah will give. Look at the du'as we have. Give me all that is khair. And so we have this from this du'a. We learn first of all that to be wajih, to be like Prophet Musa alayhi salam, wajih. To Prophet Isa alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam. These verses are good also for our Ahlul Kitab brothers. That Musa alayhi salam is distinguished in the Quran. Isa alayhi salam is distinguished in the Quran. إذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم. So when Prophet Isa alayhi salam was born, إن الله يبشرك sorry, he's not born yet. يبشرك بكلمة منه اسمه المسيح عيسى بن مريم وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين. I don't know right now if he was born or not, but anyways, O Mary, indeed Allah gives you good tidings of a word from him. Name will be Masih. Some say Masih is because mas, you see you're doing wudu, you have ghusl and you have mas, you wash and you wipe. Some say he's called Masih because he was touched by the angels, and whoever he touched, he would do shafa and cure. So his Masih, Isa comes, they say Ya'ish, or to live, that he's alive. We believe alive right now. He was not crucified. So Isa is alive, he's Masih, he's been touched by the angels. Distinguished in the world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah. So he's wajih fi dunya wal akhirah. So when you look at the Quran, you see that therefore the example of being wajih, being distinguished, is Prophet and Prophet Isa. So this gives us a better insight that when we ask Allah to be wajih, that we are asking Allah to be like the holy prophets. So my question here is, and I've divided this into two things. One is Allah wants us to be dignified. Allah wants us to have honor. And as you know, it's wajib. Three things are wajib for us, to protect ourselves, to protect, our money, and protect our honor. So these are things that we have to fight for, and they're obligatory. You can't just give away your life. You can't just give away your money. Someone wants to, for no reason, just wants to take it. You have to defend it. You have to defend your honor. And it's not in a way that if somebody, even says bad things about you, rumors about you, that, oh, it's okay, I want to be a humble brother, I want to let them say these rumors about me. No, this is your honor here. When it comes to your honor, when it comes to things that, dignified, that Allah wants you to protect, you have to do this. So how can we be honorable in the dunya and in the hereafter? How can we have practical lessons of being honorable in the dunya and in the hereafter? One is we can be honorable amongst people, right? And that is one area of being dignified, of being distinct, is that people see you as someone that is important. People see you as someone that is distinguished, but of course Allah gives karamat, Allah gives nobility. And we learn from the Holy Quran, فَمَا لَهُ مِن مُكْرِمٍ, and whoever Allah humiliates, for him there's no bestower of honor. Whoever Allah wants to raise, He'll raise. Whoever He wants to bring down, will bring down in the eyes of the people. But everything isn't spiritual. There are things that Allah has given us free will so that we live our own lives. We are responsible by the way that people perceive us, the way that our children perceive us, the way that our spouses perceive us. And we want to be wajih when it comes. We want to be wajih and dignified when it comes to our society. This is not something bad. To be arrogant is bad. To have ujb is bad. To say I'm better than that is bad. But to be distinguished amongst the people, it is not something that is bad, especially when you use that honor in the place. When you become a professional, for example, and here it is distinguished, say doctor or a scholar. That is something good for the Muslims, for the community. That is something good, and with that honor, you can serve Islam better. So there are 5 things that I've mentioned here. One is that the way we carry ourselves. Sometimes some of the mu'mineen, the brothers, sisters, sometimes they don't take themselves serious. They don't protect themselves. They don't give izz themselves. we should be very careful about, how much we joke, we make fun of things, how much we will offend somebody, the way we carry ourselves. And when we look at the life of the Holy Prophet of Islam, for example, we see that he was a pure balance between mercy and rahmat and qati'iyah, or being decisive, being powerful and doing things, getting things done. So this is how we need to be. You need this balance. If you want to be waji, you want to be fight, you need to be balanced. You can't just be silly all the time. The way you carry yourself, it's not that you're carrying yourself in a fake manner, but in a way that people take you serious. To having responsibilities, giving responsibilities to your kids. You want them to be waji. You raise them in a way that you give them responsibilities. So when it comes to their room, tidying up their room, cleaning their room, especially at a certain age, you give things to do, and they're able for what they do, and they're responsible for what they do, they become waji. Being organized, having a time for yourself, knowing, you have a time for, say, your work, for your hobbies, a time for your spirituality, a time for seeking Islamic knowledge. You're being organized in your life. When someone sees an organized person, a person that has a schedule for themselves throughout the day, that person is honorable. But a person that always, I don't know if sometimes you have guests come over and you remind yourself of the story of the Prophet of Islam. He had so much adab and such etiquette that he didn't ask guests to leave. Sometimes you have friends or family over, they don't have anything to do. They just, they have all the time in the world, and they come over, or friends, and they don't leave, and you can't allow them. So in your eyes, that person becomes G. But imagine you have comes over for a certain time, says, I'll be here at, this time, and I'm going to leave this time. And you come, you have dinner, lunch, you talk, and you talk about, what you're supposed to, and get things done, and you go on. So being organized and having a schedule, this will give you, inshallah, more, even at home, when it comes to home, the way your kids view you, the way your spouse looks at you. See, mashallah, this person's organized, they give you more honor, they give you more, you can say. Being good at what you do. We have a job that we do 9 to 5, or a profession, or some of our students here. That job that you're going to do, make sure you become very good at it, because this is your entire life. This is actually a majority part of your life, of your time, and that this is the prime time that you have, from 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or 9 to 6. Make sure you're good at what you do, and of course, make sure that you're sincere when you do this. You don't say, for example, the youth are here, you don't want to study medicine. It's hard work just to have, people to tell you, oh, doctor, PhD. You're doing it to help people, doing it with the right attention. You take this serious. Whatever you do, look at the core of that. Whatever you do, whatever profession you have, do it seriously and do it in a dignified manner. Then people will give you, it doesn't matter what profession you are, what you have, but if you do your job right and do it with the right intention, then people will give you respect. And this is also our children, the way we raise our children should be in a way that they should learn these skills, these life skills, and how to live in society, how to make money, how to survive, how to spend money, how to save money, and to plan. This is, part of Husn Taqdir Ma'isha, is one of the 3 things of Kamalul Iman, of how to have perfect and complete faith. One of those is having good measure in the way that we live. To spend too much, not to spend, knowing when to not spend. 5, not making the mistakes twice. A mu'min kayyis, a mu'min is smart. He doesn't make the same mistake. He's wise. He has basirat. He has insight. He knows what people want. He knows, he doesn't want to be taken advantage of. So, and if, a mistake happens, there's a bad friendship, break it off. You don't make that mistake. So this is about having Kareem, or being a wajih in the eyes of people, which is important, but it's not as important as being wajih in the eyes of God. How can we become in the eyes of God? We can become wajih in the eyes of God by looking at the Holy Quran. What does the Holy Quran say? Quran says, هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إن يتذكر أولو الألباب. This is in 58. Actually, this source I don't know, but this is a verse of the Quran. هل الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون? Is a person equal that knows and a person that does not know? Allah asks, someone that has knowledge and someone that doesn't have knowledge, are they equal? Then innama, which is used for hasr or exclusivity, only they will remember, which are the people of understanding. If you have knowledge, then you will have honor in the eyes of Allah. You want to be wajih, the way is knowledge. The more you know, some of the narrations say the manzalat and the maqam that the Shias will have is according to how much knowledge they have, how much knowledge of the hadith they have. And that is actually, when you look at some of our maraj al-taqlid, and they say Fulani is a'lam, they say, how is he the most knowledgeable? They say he is ashraf, he has ashraf. His knowledge encompasses hadith, the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, because this is knowledge of prophets. This is knowledge of reality. It's not wasting knowledge. It's not fadl. It's not just words. It's knowledge itself. And this is knowledge that has been descended from Prophet Adam to Prophet Nuh to Prophet Ibrahim to Prophet Musa to Prophet Isa to our holy Prophet. And the Imams at the end in some of the traditions say, Aina tadhabun fa aina tadhabun. We are the inheritors of the knowledge of the Prophet, inheritors of the prophets. And we see in Ziyar Jami Kabira, we are Mirathul Anbiya, I believe. We are the inheritors of the prophets. They physically, the Imams, they inherit some clothes, say the staff of Musa alayhi salam, the ring of Prophet Sulaiman, the shirt of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. But also they inherit the knowledge of the Anbiya. And then the Imam alayhi salam says, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where else are you going? Do you want to seek knowledge from somebody else that isn't from the line of Prophet Adam, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam? Do you want to go towards man-made knowledge, heavenly knowledge? So seeking this heavenly knowledge, the knowledge of the prophets and the Imams, this gives us wajahat. This gives one that is, have karamat, has nobility, has honor. Of course, when you look at Prophet, the 49:13, Inna akramakum indallah atqakum, having taqwa, having God wariness. This causes us to be, this verse says akram, to have, to be the most righteous, to be the most noble, we could say, to those that no matter what happened, their salat, they establish it. It doesn't matter if they're in the airplane, it doesn't matter if they're in the airport, they establish prayers. They're always, whatever Allah says, He is the commanding Lord. And that is what Islam is, submission. Whatever He says, na'am. Yes, I follow, I listen. Not whatever I want to do. Sometimes we are stuck with mustahabat and acts of recommendation, but we forget about the wajib. The person that has that high station, if you want a high station, even if you fast until you become dry, as some of the traditions says, and even if you pray so much until your back becomes crooked like a bow or a tent, the pillar of a tent, for example, or a bow, we could say, then it will not benefit you unless you have taqwa, unless you have this faculty that now I don't sin at all. I've reached this station by the praise of Allah, for example, that I don't sin. Whatever He said, I learned His ahkam, I learned His instructions, I have implemented it. Not only in salat and siyam and everything else, but when it comes to business, halal business. And if I have a halal income, I pay that halal khums. If I qualify for zakat, I pay the zakat. When it comes to family matter, when it comes to the rights of the wife, when it comes to the rights of the children, I am a full, complete human being, not a Shaykh Mutahari says. Some of us, we're like cartoons. We praise so much. For example, our nose is huge, for example, a cartoon, but our forehead will be small because we didn't say balance our social responsibilities. We only had focus on ibadat. We have big ears, for example, or like a cartoon. So you have to be balanced. Taqwa means balance. And if you have taqwa in all realms of life, when it comes to injustice, for example, dhulm, you care. When it comes to helping your brother out, you care, you help them. So these are things that a mu'min should be balanced. In a mu'min, once he's balanced, he's powerful, and all realms of his life, he has success upon success upon success. He's good at whatever he does because he has fought against the nafs. So fight against them, having taqwa means you fight the nafs. You have taqwa in everything. There's no more desire anymore. Everything you're doing is for God. Everything that you're doing is coming from the aql. All your actions, your silence, everything is coming from the intellect. Your body is commanded by the intellect. Then you have taqwa. Then whatever you do, you become very good at. The third is fighting against the nafs, and that is man ahana nafsahu akramahu Allah. And whoever against the nafs, then Allah from karamat, nobility, or wajahat. Allah will give him nobility and give him illustrious, being illustrious. So now we can, this is a 3 steps, and I'll say it again just because, sometimes I say it too fast. So when it comes to the world, the way we carry ourselves, having responsibilities, being organized, being good at what we do, being careful of making mistakes and not making them twice. When it comes to Allah's eyes, knowledge, taqwa, and at the end, fighting against the lower desire. A person that has sacrificed for Allah, he gives whatever Allah he had. You say, there's a situation where he has to choose between something that he really likes and Allah, he chooses Allah. Then Allah will love him. Allah gives him respect in the hereafter, inshallah, in the dunya and the hereafter. Let's recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajal farajahum. Now, these things that I just mentioned, we hear it all the time. Taqwa, we hear it all the time in Friday prayers. Seek knowledge, okay, fight against the nafs. But aren't these things difficult? Of course they are. Yes, they are. And do we do these actions to be able to better interpret what the lines are saying? Allahumma ja'alni indaka wajihan bil Husayn fi dunya wal akhirah. Give me honor, or give me making me illustrious in the sight, in your sight. This says bil Husayn. It says through Hussein. Honor through Hussein. And that is the time period of Muharram and the holy nights of Ashura. So how can we be wajih bil Hussein? So whatever we said, this was for the world. As you said, this is true too. This is the Quran, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they are in the Quran and Natiq, they're the speaking Quran. But when we think about how can we have honor through Imam Hussein, how is it that the Shia of Imam Hussein have honor? To explain this better, one of the great speakers and lecturers, Sheikh Jafar Shushtari, he says this in his book Al-Muhibbin. What does he say? He says that he tells his nafs. Sometimes, it's very important for us to have muhasabah of our nafs, to examine ourselves. He examines himself. He says, I'm 60, I'm going to die. I'm going to die soon, probably. I'm going to die whenever. Death is approaching. What will happen if death approaches me? And I ask myself this, what will happen if death approaches me? and Malakul Maut comes now and takes my life. And Allah, with all this potential, with all this ni'mah did me, and how much He has favored us with the love of the Ahlul Bayt, with the love of religion. But what have we performed? What have we done? Nothing. What have we saved for ourselves in the hereafter? Nothing. So he looks at some of the verses of the Quran, that those that when they say they read the Quran, the believers are those that they have taqsha or wajalat, they shake, their hearts shake, their hearts have fear. He says, but when I recite the Quran, I don't have fear. Sheikh Jafar Shushri is saying. So I'm doomed, he's saying. I'm doomed. Then he thinks more. He says, there's good attributes that help you. The attribute of generosity, the attribute of being just, they help you. Helping people. He says, well, what have I done? What are my attributes? He says, well, what else can help me? Fasting, salat, hajj, it has so many conditions. But even if performed in the right way, how do I know if it's going to be made accepted or not? How do I know if it is for Allah? How do I know there's no riya in it? How do I know there's no ujb in it? How do I know that I didn't do ghaiba and give it? So in how completed it correctly. Mizan al-A'mal is Imam Ali, and the scale of actions is Imam Ali. Compare my salat to the salat of Amir al-Mu'minin. It's kal adam, as if it's nothing. My salat to the salat of Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, it's nothing. My hajj to the hajj of Imam Hassan ibn Ali, it's nothing. So what do I have? What can I be hopeful of? So what should I do? I have hope. And then next to himself, and after destroying himself and doing above the next nafs correctly, he comes to this conclusion. And he says that, but the Prophet of Islam is narrated to have أهل بيتي كمثل السفينة النوح من ركب فيها نجا. And whoever enters and rides upon the ark of Nuh, which is the Ahlul Bayt, the ship of salvation, he is saved. And Hussein is Safinatul Najat. Hussein will save me. So he's going more, and we're understanding, Wajihan bil Hussein, that Allah will give us honor because of Imam Hussein, because we think that we don't have anything. We didn't perform anything correctly. We're just full of evil actions. We haven't performed our wajibat correctly. What are we going to do? We see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam will save us. And then he continues. He says, Allah, I'm not to himself, a believer when it comes to those strict qualifications in the Quran. My heart doesn't tremble, when I read the Quran. But I know this, I know that when it comes to tradition, أَنَا قَتِيلُ الْأَبْرَارِ مَنْ ذَكَرْتُ عِنْدَ مُؤْمِنٍ إِلَّا بَكَى وَقْتَمْ لِلْمُصَابِ. I know that Imam Hussein, this tradition says, I am the one that is killed because of tears, or has been killed and tears crying. Whenever I am remembered, a believer remembers me, except they cry and they are upset. So I have cried for Imam Hussein. I have been upset for the musibah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Therefore I am a mu'min. So he doesn't say mu'min from those strict qualifications through this tradition that I am a mu'min. And then it continues, and he says that, how about a Shia? Shia has so many strict traditions. It says, Shi'atana khuliqu min that they have been created extra part of the soil of the Ahlul Bayt. Yafrahuna bifarahina wa yahzanuna bihuznina. And if you see, brothers in yourself, that you are happy with the happiness of the Ahlul Bayt, and you are upset with the huzn and gham and the distress of the Ahlul Bayt, to know that you are Shia. He tells himself, I am Shia according to this hadith. I'm a believer, I am a Shia. And then he says to himself, up and then to become Wajih al-Hussein, He says, and I have full proximity to God. I have fullness when it comes to God. Manzara, of course, the Zara of Imam Hussein, Kaman Zara Allah fi arsheh, we have in the traditions. Whoever visits Imam Hussein as if he has visited Allah in his arsh, in his throne. Is there anywhere closer than Allah? He says, I have reached, and not only am I a mu'min through these hadith, through Imam, not only am I a Shia, but I have reached full proximity through Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because Za'ir has visited Allah. And he says, and I don't have the actions to enter me to heaven, but I have these actions, man baka aw abka wa tabaki, wajibat lahu al-jannah. And whoever cries and makes cry and seems to as if he cried, it'll be wajib for him to enter heaven. He says that it is wajib for me to enter heaven. Then at the end, he says, even if I don't become a qualified of Imam Hussein, but we read that the Zawar of Imam Hussein, they can do shafa'at to 10 people, to 100 people. He says, I am sure that the Zawar of Imam Hussein alayhi salam will help take me, and they will intercede in my behalf. So this is what it means to be wajih bil Hussein, to be distinguished by Hussein, because all of those disqualifications that would disqualify us, they are now taken away in the Safina to Najat. According to this is the rahmat of Allah through Imam Hussein, that we qualified by these measures now, the measures of Safina to Najat. And this is why we say, Ya wajihan indallah, ishfa'i lana indallah. You who has honor in the eyes of Allah, or distinguish in the eyes of Allah, give us, inshallah, shafa'at indallah. Tonight we're going to do the musibat of Lady Ruqayyah, the daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. As you know that there are many children in Karbala. Inshallah, this Majlis given, inshallah, blessed souls of our marhumeen, inshallah, for inshallah, blessed souls of all those that have passed away from our families, our friends, inshallah, our brothers and sisters in faith. There are many children in Karbala. Some of the scholars counted up to 20. And one of the children that was left in Sham, in the dungeon cells of Sham, is Lady Ruqayyah, salawatullah alayha. So she is the sign of oppression of Imam Hussein, the flag of oppression of Imam Hussein in Sham and Syria. And one of the reasons why we cry so much when we hear the musibat of the kids, of children, it's because they cannot defend against themselves. When a child is smacked and hurt, what can they do? All they can do is run. But we had some other daughters in Karbala when they came to set fire to the tents of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, like Hamida bint Muslim, that were trampled under the hooves of these horses. And Imam Sajjad is narrated to say, to run. Every kid was running in different directions. Lady Ruqayyah, Lady Sukaina, they're all running in different directions. Some of them, maybe their dresses are on fire. And it is here that we see the pains, the tribulations of Lady Ruqayyah, the daughter of Imam Hussein. And we say to her, as if we say, come and see your daughter, that she has not slept for many nights. Imam Hussein, after you were martyred, Lady Ruqayyah, for many nights she has not slept. Instead of counting the stars at night, she has to count the wounds that she incurred. A child would like to look at the stars, but she has to count of all the smacks and hits that she received. Her feet, like your lips, Ya Hussein, blistered and cracked. She has not been caressed, but instead has been smacked. Look and see There is no more color in her pale face. No one has brushed her hair, but only the fire that scorched it. And when she sees Ya Abata in the narrations in the books, Ya Abata man alladhi aytamani ala saghar sunni, when they brought the head of Hussein to her, Ya Abata man alladhi aytamani ala saghar sunni, Father, who has made me an orphan at such a young age? How hard it is for her to be an orphan. How hard it is for her to be captive. She takes the head of Imam Hussein as if she's saying, I have aged at the age of 3. I have become old at the age of 3. She has endured hundreds of years of sorrow at the age of 3. She looks at the head of Hussein alayhi salam and says, Father, my heart longs for you. Father, as I've seen you again. She holds the head of her father. Let me not tell you, a daughter, do you know, of your parents here, you see, when you come home and something happens, quickly the child runs to tell you what happened. So Lady Raghaya, she says, let me not tell you what I've seen. Let me not tell you what you've heard. She doesn't want to accept she doesn't want Imam to become upset. But she says this one thing to Imam Hussein, as if she's saying, tell your Fatima Zahra, tell her, did I have suffered some of her pain? But Lady Zahra have suffered as well. I have tasted the beating and the pain of being hid from the enemy. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Ya Allah, inshallah, accept our majlis, inshallah. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما حاط به علمك. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. Baba, where were you, Baba? 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 Where were you when they attacked the tent? When they attacked the tent, when they burned down the tent, when they burned down the tent, when they stole our jewelry, when they looted the tent, when they stole our jewelry, when they looted the tent. Baba, where were you, Baba? 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 Where were you? Karbala to Kufa, in the streets of Kufa. Karbala to Kufa, in the streets of Kufa. When they were heading the children of Fatima, when they were heading the children of Fatima. Baba, where were you, Baba? 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 Where were you? From Kufa all the way to the Bazaar Sham, from Kufa all the way to the Bazaar Sham, the celebration of all the people of Sham, the celebration of all the people of Sham. Baba, where were you, Baba? 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 Where were you in palace of Yazid? The insults of Yazid in palace of Yazid. The insults of Yazid. When they brought me your head by order of Yazid, when they brought me your head by order of Yazid, Baba, where were you, Baba? 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 Where were you? Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum. We will be doing Ziyarat Ashura in the next few minutes, inshallah, once Brother Jasim joins, inshallah. Thank you.
Wa alaikum salam.
कौन सा भी पढ़े Mustafa will do an aha.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. इसको पॉज कर दे आ जाए इधर अच्छा उधर से खड़े हो जाए जैसा भी है درود محمد وآل محمد پر. ایک درود محمد وآل محمد پر.
مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین یا حسین. وہ عابد بیمار تھا، وہ عابد بیمار تھا، چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا، چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین یا حسین. شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی، شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی، سینے پہ جو شاہ کے پلی، سینے پہ جو شاہ کے پلی، جس کی ابا بن میں جلی، جس کی ابا بن میں جلی، منہ پر تماچوں کے نشان مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین یا حسین. وہ عسکر بے شیر تھا، وہ عسکر بے شیر تھا، اور حرملا کا تیر تھا، اور حرملا کا تیر تھا. پیاسا گلا کیوں کر کٹا، پیاسا گلا کیوں کر کٹا، لرزی زمین و آسمان مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین. شام غریب چھا گئی، شام غریب چھا گئی، عابد کو غیرت آ گئی، عابد کو غیرت آ گئی، پہرے پہ زینب آ گئی، پہرے پہ زینب آ گئی، عباس و اکبر ہے کہاں مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسین یا حسین. پر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
زیارت عاشورہ، زیارت امام حسین علیہ السلام. اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد، اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد، اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیک یا ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن امیر المومنین وابن سید الوسین، السلام علیک یا ابن فاطمۃ سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیک یا ثار اللہ وابن ثارہ والمثر الموجود، السلام علیک وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، علیکم منی جمیعا سلام اللہ ابدا ما بقیت وبقی اللیل والنہار. يا أبا عبد الله لقد أزمت الرزية وجلت الوازمة المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها ولعن الله أمة خذلتكم ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم بريت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة ولعن الله على زياد وعلى مروان ولعن الله بني أمية خاتبة ولعن الله ابن مرجان ولعن الله عمر بن سعد ولعن الله شمران ولعن الله أمة نضرجت والجمت وتنقبت لقتالك بأبي أنت وأمي لقد أزم مصاببك فاسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب سؤالك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن خاتلك ونصب لك الحرب وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى علي بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم إني سلم لمن صالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم واسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم خدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني طلب ساري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشان الذي لكم عنده أن يؤتيني بمصابكم أفضل ما يؤتي مصاب بمصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رضيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة اللهم اجعل محياي محياء محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابناء كلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وخطوة فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة وأبد العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضائف عليهم اللعنة منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم بالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لنا وللظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له ولا ذلك. اللهم لعن الإصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت ولا الظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أول ثم العام ثاني وثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرة وعلى أبي سفيان وعلى زياد وعلى مروان إلى يوم القيامة. You all go in sujood now. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رضيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا موجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
محمد.
اللهم صل
على محمد وآل محمد.
Inshallah, we will see you tomorrow for the fourth Majlis of the series. Please join us on the same YouTube channel at 7 p.m. sharp. Inshallah. Khuda Hafiz.